What happened when you won a lawsuit and the other party refused to pay? My family and I moved into a complete mess that the landlord assured us would be clean and ready to move into on the day our lease began. It was not. The carpets were filthy and we had to shampoo them all, twice, just so that we could walk around in stocking feet. The stove and refrigerator were a fright, and old. The refrigerator tanked out about a week in. We bought a new one. The girl who moved out before we rented the place put all of her garbage into the garage, in our half. She also left around 16,463 old pizza boxes in our half of the basement. We needed 6 or 8 cans of scrubbing bubbles and scrubbies in the bathroom. We didn't charge for the rug doctor rental. We didn't charge for the cleaning supplies. And, we didn't charge for the labor. The people upstairs fought, and they were loud, and, after he moved out, she became demanding and acted like she owned the place. We ignored her. After she moved, they moved in a certifiable lunatic. An actual victim of budget cuts in the psychiatric center. And, life got interesting. The guy would blast music suddenly at 3 a.m., and would either climb atop something and jump off, or pound something into the floor, again, at 3 a.m. We called the cops and they were very sympathetic and carted his crazy butt off to the hospital, over and over, for the required 3-day hold. The landlord cared not a whit. So, when the budget cut victim acted up, I called them. When he hung up, I called back. This, after we had the police inform them what was going on. The guy started getting threatening. He was fine when he took his meds, but there was no one to make sure he did, and he didn't like to. Oh dear. So, we told the landlords that we were going to move if they didn't do something, and eventually found a new place, and moved. The landlords didn't want to refund our security deposit, and made up a list of reasons. Dirty grout in the bathroom. Trash in the garage. Trash in the basement. And, a note from the girl who lived upstairs before the victim moved in. We sued. We got all the police reports, including those from the musician and the demanding girl upstairs. Lisa even had the receipts from renting the rug doctor, all the original cleaning supplies, and her notes about what the place was like. We became friends with the next door neighbors, one side a 96-year-old resident and his wife who had lived there for 50 years, and a couple with kids on the other side. They both wrote us notes. The landlord strode into court all confident and cocky, and thought he was going to have us pay him. The judge heard what we all had to say, looked over our stack of reports, receipts, and notes from the neighbors. He looked at the single piece of paper the landlord handed him, flipped it over to see if there was more on the backside, and said, "You'll get my decision in the mail." 2 weeks later we won. I called the landlord. He said he was going to appeal. I went to the court and filed a judgment. He lost his appeal. The only way I could collect was to garnish his wages, which cost money, or just let the judgment hang. A sheriff's deputy told me that, in his experience, just waiting would eventually pay off. So, I forgot all about it. Figured it for a loss. About 5 years later, I got a phone call from a lawyer. It seems that the landlord and the missus were in the process of trying to buy a new home, and, boy are you a hard guy to track down. She wanted to pay me off, because he couldn't close on the new house until he settled the judgment. I told her to let me talk it over with my, non-existent, lawyer, and could she call me back in a couple of days? I wrote down the phone number off the newfangled caller ID and when it came up, I ignored the call. I let him hang for 2 weeks. When I called the lawyer back I asked why she hadn't called. Then I told her that there was a little matter of interest and my trouble was that she made an offer. I said, no. He paid triple.